You're listening to an episode of the Abigail Pugh podcast with, you guessed it, Abigail Pugh. I'm an introverted mama who took my online business from 0 to 7 figures in 15 months selling my own digital products on social media. And guess what? I did it all with my 3-year-old daughter no less than 3 feet away from me at all times. Now I'm bringing you everything I've learned about building a wildly profitable online business that supports your life while allowing you to truly live it. Get ready for raw, honest conversations with entrepreneurs making thousands per month selling their own digital products and people just like you who ditch self-doubt to create the life they've always wanted. If you're ready to make more money, have more impact, and still have time for the things that matter most, you're in the right place. Grab your sneakers, head out on your hot girl walk, and let's dive in. Today's episode is something that I have been and will continue to do for the first 90 days of 2025. And I got several questions when I shared about it briefly over on my stories on Instagram. So I'm going to walk you through exactly why I'm doing this and the quote unquote rules I've given myself for this 90-day challenge. Then I'm going to try something new for today's solo episode. At the end, I'm going to do a few Q&A questions that y'all have asked me over on Instagram. Let me know after you listen to the episode if you like this, and I'll keep doing that for all my solo episodes. Okay, so what am I doing for the first 90 days of 2025? I kind of made up this challenge because I need simplicity for 2025. And this is providing that for me. So for 90 days, I will be selling one offer every single day. And really the only rule I gave myself was that I have to talk about it and link to it or have some sort of call to action for this one offer every single day for 90 days. Now, this can be anywhere, meaning I can sell anywhere, right? So there's reels, carousel, stories, threads, emails, any of those things. I just have to sell it every single day. And the offer that I'm using for this challenge is my Rich Girl Community. So why am I doing this? Like I said before, I wanted simplicity for 2025, and this is one of the ways that I'm doing it. I also set a goal to build up $100K a month of reoccurring revenue for my business by the end of 2025. So I really wanted to build momentum around my offer that is a reoccurring payment to work towards that goal. Because I know for me personally, I will set these big goals and then I don't always have a tangible way to reach it. So for 2025, any of the goals that I have, I'm really doing tangible things every single day to work towards that goal. Also, this is the most recent offer or product, whatever you want to call it, that I have created and launched. So I'm still learning how to market it. And this is helping so much because every single day, I only have one option for what I need to sell that day. And again, it just takes the complexity out of it. I'm not like, okay, what do I talk about today? Every day, I need to lead towards that offer with this challenge. Now, if this is something you want to do inside your business, please steal this idea and run with it. And if you want a closer behind the scenes look at what I'm doing each day to actually sell, make sure you join Rich Girl Community because I'm documenting it all over there. No gatekeeping at all. I'm even sharing like the data on signups per day for that one offer so that you can see kind of what's working best. Now, I will link my Rich Girl Community in the show notes for you if you haven't joined and you want to join us. Now, let's get into the Q&A. I always feel like Dear Abby when I do Q&As. Did you guys ever read that column growing up? I loved it. And it always made me feel so special that I had the same name as her. Also, as I answer these questions, just know that this is exactly how I answer questions inside Rich Girl Community every single Monday during our Q&A calls together. So if this is something you need, definitely join us inside Rich Girl Community. Okay, first question is from Christine, and she said, what is your typical work schedule from when you first started and how it is now? So they're wildly different, not only because my business has grown and I just have a lot more structure, I want to say, in my business now, but in the beginning, my husband, like when I first started this business, my husband, a few months, what was it? April, May, June. So 3-ish months before I started this business officially, like started the TikTok for it, my husband had 2 strokes. We moved. He was healing. He still had to go back to work after he was healed enough for them to see, okay, your brain is still working. And it was madness. We had a daughter, we still have her, but my daughter was she was just under 2, I want to say 2022. Yeah, so she hadn't turned 2 yet. So what, 20 months, 21 months, I don't know exactly. Not 2 just yet. It was madness. And I literally worked whenever I could. Any spare moment that I could work, I would. When she was napping, I was working. When she was playing by herself, I was working. When my husband had her, I was working. When she was sleeping at night, I was working. It was all the time because in the beginning of the business, there isn't much rhythm, right? You're just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall, I should say, and seeing what sticks. And I think that's normal to a certain extent. Like there's a lot more education out there now that can help you get places faster. But in the beginning, even if you have all the education in the world, you're still learning new things and you're still kind of learning what's working, what's not working. So back then it was crazy. And then my husband went back to work full time and I still had freelance clients on the side. So it was a lot. And basically my main goal back then was like, okay, I have this product that I'm selling. I need to create content for it every single day. So it was pretty simple, but it was just a lot of trial and error, and trying to fit things in was really, really hard. Whereas now I'm definitely on more of a rhythm. So I guess I can just kind of walk you through what my week looks like. Like this is pretty typical. Obviously there's always room for things to change, but Mondays are my heaviest work day because on Mondays, I have the Q&A call with my community. I have to finish finalizing the prompts for the day on Mondays. And then I catch up from all the community, questions people have submitted and those types of things inside of my community on Mondays as well, because I'm not in there over the weekend. And then, anything that is kind of, I don't want to say piled up, but anything that I've, decided, okay, I need to get this done today, I do on Monday. So Mondays is a little heavier for me. And I actually kind of like having 1 to 2 really heavy work days and then other work days where if I don't want to work, I don't have to. So Mondays is the heavier work day. Tuesdays is my podcast recording days. So I record my podcast with guests on Tuesdays, and I only have 1 day a week that I do that. And again, this is very intentional so that if I can only work 2 days that week, Monday, Tuesday, I get everything done, I knock it out. And then the rest of the week, I have a lot more freedom. For my brain, I prefer that so much more than having all these tasks spread out over the entire week. That's just a lot for me. And I'm introverted. So I get nervous before things, not my Q&A calls anymore, because I know the ladies in my community and I love those, honestly. But other things where it's if I had a call with somebody or a podcast recording with someone I might not know very well, it's very overwhelming for me to see that on my schedule all week long. So Tuesdays are my podcast recording day and the day that I go to my co-working space. Love having that to record podcasts. Super convenient and nice to have it. It's also where I get all my mail delivered, all that fun stuff. So Tuesday, my only goal for Tuesdays is to have podcasts recorded. If I do other stuff on top of that, great, but I don't put that pressure on myself because it takes a lot of my social battery to interview people, and I love it and it's so much fun, but as an introvert, it just takes a lot from me. So Tuesdays, I try not to plan much else. I go to the co-working space. I'll try to get some B-roll if I need it. Super simple day. I try to get home by 2 or 3 just so that I can get more time with my daughter. My podcast recordings are usually in the morning. I would say that's more common where they're between 10 to 12. So I'll do those, grab some lunch, and then come home. And the other thing that I do, I should say, every day, Monday through Friday, is I'm in my community. I am replying to them, commenting, answering questions, all those types of things. I do that Monday through Friday, but I'm very set on the times that I do it. So I will go in 1 to 2 times a day, answer all the questions, and then I don't just sit there and hang out. I make sure everybody's questions are answered, obviously. That's very important to me, but I don't kind of just sit there for a while, right? So I'll go in, usually it's 2 times a day, usually a little bit earlier in the day and then a little bit later in the day. And then I will respond to everyone and let them know, the answers to all of their questions, spend some time in there. And then, so that's Tuesdays. But I do that, like I said, for the community every single day, Monday through Friday. So Tuesdays, podcast recording. Wednesday, I usually have a very chill day. Usually my only task on Wednesdays is being inside of the community. After Monday, Tuesday, my daughter is usually I want to hang out with mom. So we do stuff together, really focus on being with her. Thursdays, if I have any work that is going to take me like a few hours, like let's say I wanted to write a new welcome sequence or I wanted to update one of my digital products, something like that, I will usually use Thursday to do that because it is not Friday. So it's not like going into the weekend yet, but I can focus a little bit more. So Thursdays, like I said, any tasks that are like a little bit longer. And then, of course, inside my community again. Fridays, I usually just do the community stuff. I don't really like to work on Fridays. By the time Friday comes around, I'm usually just kind of done. I will say too, I usually have one content batching day, 1 to 2 per month that I batch B-roll and talking head videos because I don't like to have to be recording those all the time. Obviously, if like something sparks my interest and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so inspired by this, I need to create this today, I will go to my car and create a video and do a talking head. But I don't try to do those every single day because it's hard with a kid. And I don't know, like I don't have the capacity for that anymore. I'm sure I could if I pushed, but I don't really want to. I'm not in a phase of my business where I want to like push myself really hard. Like I really want to focus on taking care of myself so that I can keep pouring into my community. So Fridays, I don't usually do much. Sometimes I will just do the community, check in with my community, be with them. And on Fridays, especially, I always try to do a morning and an evening since I'm not going to be in the community for the rest of the weekend. And then Saturday, Sundays, unless it's something super important that I didn't get to in the week, which obviously when you own a business, that totally happens sometimes, or sometimes I will forget to do something and Saturday morning comes around and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to do this, babe. Please take Bean, go on a bike ride and I'll finish it. But usually I would say this year and the past like 2 or 3 months, I would say, I've gotten really good at really just enjoying my weekends and not working. Because if you're an entrepreneur, you know, it's so easy to get caught up in your work and to feel like you never take the break. And it's important. Like you can't pour into other people if you don't take care of yourself. So that's kind of my work schedule now. I'm super grateful, super just thankful that I can have a work schedule like this. And like I said, that's just an average week. Obviously, there are times where I work more or sometimes even less. But honestly, I really try to stick to a schedule similar to that so that I can spend more time with Charlie. I can spend more time with my husband and just spend more time like in our home and taking care of our home and our family because I love all of that as well. And my first year of business, I really feel like I let go of like the homemaker me. And I love being a homemaker. I love taking care of our home. I love cooking. I love being part of like the rhythm in our house. So I've really been trying to pull a little bit of that more in while still running my business. Okay, that was a really long answer. I hope you enjoyed that. It's fun to see where a business starts and where it ends up because I think sometimes people go into, digital products or any online business thinking it's going to start how it is for me now. And that's just not the case. Nobody starts a business and can kind of work a super lenient schedule like that in the beginning. Like the beginning is the time for hustling. And I don't mean hustling in a negative way. I know that like hustle culture has gotten such a negative connotation, but you have to put the hustle in. And I put the hustle in for the past 2.5 years to kind of get to this point. And I think it's important to remember that when you first start a business, it's a lot of work and a lot of grind and a lot of just seeing what works, what doesn't work. And then moving forward, you can just do what is working instead of wasting time doing things that aren't pushing your business where you want it to go. So next question from Priscilla. How do I decide what I want my digital product to be? Now, I went and took a look at her page and her niche is kind of the baby motherhood travel. So I wanted to kind of give an answer specific to that. So Priscilla, if you are listening to this episode, when it comes to deciding on a digital product, especially for something like this, number one, I would definitely lean into a lot of affiliate marketing things as well. So sign up to be an Amazon influencer, sign up for Like to Know It, all those things, because when it comes to like baby travel and these types of things, people want to know what products to buy. So first and foremost, I would lean into like affiliate marketing for the actual like physical products that you can recommend. And then as far as it goes for your actual digital product, what is like the first thing that people come to you when they have questions for you? So I'm kind of assuming it would be something along the lines of, how do I travel with a baby? What do I need to know? All the things. I really wish I would have had a digital product like that when I first traveled with my daughter. I literally had no idea what I was doing. I just got on the plane. I was like, well, I've got my boobs. That's really all I need. And she was young, so I feel like a few other things would have been really helpful, but maybe some sort of digital product that shows people what they need for each age range for making travel easier with your baby. I feel like that would be super fun. But when it comes to deciding on your first product, I would say pick something, poll your audience on it, maybe give them two options. So pick two things that you think they would like, poll your audience, see what they like, and go with the one that they like. You will learn so much more from just creating that first one and getting it out into the world and seeing what people like than you will from sitting around and feeling like, I don't know what to do. So start with the basics like that. And then as you start selling your first product, you'll kind of see what they have a need for down the line. And then you'll be able to kind of build out your product suite. Now, the next question is from Ashley, and it is, what are your daily money-making tasks? So I don't know if I created a podcast episode on this or not, but every single day inside of my business, I focus on money-making tasks. And those are things that move the needle. I feel like sometimes it's really easy to work on your business and focus on like your brand photos, your branding, what fonts should I be using? Oh my gosh, do I need to update my highlights? Do I need to do a new about me highlight? Like all those things, yes, they're super important. But every single day, in my opinion, you should be doing money-making tasks that are actually moving the needle in your business and helping you make sales. So for me, mainly, I would say Instagram stories are like my ride or die. They are where my hottest leads are, there where your hottest leads probably are, and they're just the easiest for me to create. So almost every single day, I will make sure I'm posting Instagram stories. Some are more personal and some are more selling the actual product, right? Another money-making task would be a reel or a carousel where I am directly asking them if they want this product, right? There's a call to action at the end that says, comment XYZ word if you need help with this, and I'll send over the link to my digital product, something like that, right? Where I'm like actually asking for the sale. So those are money-making tasks. Emails could be a money-making task, right? But when I think of money-making tasks, it needs to be asking for the sale. It cannot just be every single day talking about your story, but then never asking for the sale. Like you have to sell every single day. And it's not as hard as it sounds. I know that it sounds very uncomfortable in the beginning to be like, oh my gosh, how am I going to sell every single day? But now, honestly, I could sell in 1 minute and it feels really easy some days, not all days. There are still days where it's hard, but I would say my main tasks are usually social media. I'm trying to get better at email. I have an amazing email list and I don't know. I feel really insecure about selling in emails. And I know I shouldn't. I know it's like a mental thing that I need to work through, but that could be another one. Selling on Threads could be another one. Essentially, it's anywhere that you are able to show up and create content that sells your digital product. Now, last question for the day is from Heather. And she said, any tips for smaller accounts trying to make sales? It seems frustratingly hard sometimes. You know what, you guys, it's hard for everyone sometimes, no matter your account size. Now, I know that in the beginning, it does feel harder because visibility is harder, right? For smaller accounts, getting that visibility is harder. And I started this account from scratch. I mean, everybody started their account from scratch, but I remember those early days when it was like, awesome, 3 people liked my reel, and it was my mom and my husband and some stranger that is not my ideal audience. Great. It's discouraging. I totally get that. And some things that I really focused on in my early days was trying to have collaborations and not just like reels where you're collaborating with somebody else, but trying to get myself in front of somebody else's audience that the audience already trusted that person. So I pitched to be on podcast episodes. I pitched to, do I don't know if it was a guest blog or a guest email. I didn't end up doing it, but I really just tried to get myself out there in any way, shape, or form possible as the expert in my field. Now, something else that you can do with a smaller account is really focus on storytelling content, because at the end of the day, people want to connect with the person first and then make the sale second. And a lot of the time when people come to me that have a smaller account and they're like, hey, I'm not making sales, I go to their page and it's all business. And there is literally nothing about who they are as a person, what they believe in, what they stand for, funny little things about their day, right? And I think it's really easy to forget that people want to connect with you first. They want to get to know you before they purchase from you. So really leaning into your story, why you got into what you're doing, where you're at now, things that you've done along the way. Like I want to see that in your content because people need to see that you're kind of the authority in your space around this topic because of what you have gone through. But I also just want you to know that I hear you and I see you. It feels really hard sometimes when you have a smaller audience in those early days to feel like, oh, it's just not working. Something else that I think is a really good reminder, my friend Colleen posted about this the other day, just kind of thinking about like when we're like, oh, I'm so bummed my story views were only, 80 people today. And then she's like, I want you to think about it like 80 people in line in front of you in line at a Taco Bell drive-thru. Like that's a lot of freaking people in front of you. And I think social media makes it really easy to kind of lose perspective of like, the amount of people that are there and listening and wanting to buy from you. So I know that it can feel harder in the beginning. And unfortunately with social media, people associate follows with, how good someone is at something. And that's absolutely not the case. There are lots of people that have hundreds of thousands of followers and they're not good at what they do. And maybe like one video took off and now everybody thinks they're an expert when they're not. So also really just kind of disassociating how many followers you have with your self-worth, and remembering that you have something to offer people. You have something amazing to offer people, and you have to show up as if you have an audience of whatever your ideal audience is, right? And I know people say this a lot, but from the beginning, I showed up as if I had 1 million followers. I showed up as if everyone was interested in everything that I had to say. Some days they are, and some days they aren't, and that's okay. But people can kind of feel it when you feel discouraged, and it will like show up in your content when you are frustrated, and they can feel that in the content. So I know it's hard. I see you, I hear you. And if you need help with this, I would love to help you inside a Rich Girl community. We have a very wide range of follower-sized audiences inside that community. I do not know how to say that properly. There's just a wide range of creators and business owners and entrepreneurs inside of the community. So if you need more help with that, I would love to help you. Okay, you guys, this was so much fun. Again, send me a DM over on Instagram if you liked this fun little Q&A at the end. And you guys, if you could pause this episode or listen to the end, and then go and rate my show, give it a review or a rating wherever it is that you listen. That would help so much. If you're a weekly listener and you love tuning into my podcast, I would love it if you could go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, and leave a review. Love you, mean it, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you learned anything from this episode, I would love it if you could share it over on your Instagram stories and tag me at Abigail Pugh. Until next time, love you, mean it.